Charlie, what do you think? What percentage, and we'd be making up the number, of agents actually do faithfully track their expenses?
20%, and I may be high.
Right. Now, most of us don't. And sometimes we feel like our time and attention is better spent just earning more money.
Right.
Like, forget it. It's too hard. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. I've told this story recently that a friend of mine at the brokerage went on vacation and lost his wallet. And he said it was one of the best things that's happened to me in a long time.
Right.
He said I had to go contact every single subscription and all these tools that I was paying for and give them a new credit card. And he just said, I discovered, and this is a really analytical guy, actually, he's organized more than the most.
Yeah.
He said that he discovered he was paying for things that he had forgotten about. Good morning.
Good morning. Today is tax day, and in celebration of tax day, we wanted to have a discussion around tracking expenses, income, why are we tracking? We've got a tool that may be helpful for agents that I came across about a month ago that I personally started using. And it's already helped me improve my life, frankly, when it comes to paper and receipts and expenses. But where do you want to start kind of with this overall idea of the importance of tracking?
Well, I guess just to set the tone and let everyone know we're going to cover a lot of aspects today. The how, the why, the what, and please don't be daunted. Charlie, what do you think? What percentage, and we'd be making up the number, of agents actually do faithfully track their expenses?
20%, and I may be high.
Right. Now, most of us don't. And sometimes we feel like our time and attention is better spent just earning more money.
Right.
Like, forget it. It's too hard. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. I've told this story recently that a friend of mine at the brokerage went on vacation and lost his wallet. And he said it was one of the best things that's happened to me in a long time.
Right.
He said I had to go contact every single subscription and all these tools that I was paying for and give them a new credit card. And he just said, I discovered, and this is a really analytical guy, actually, he's organized more than the most.
Yeah.
He said that he discovered he was paying for things that he had forgotten about, and he wasn't
Right.
using. Maybe you have an account for this, that, or the other thing, and you keep promising yourself you'll use it someday and you don't, but that monthly charge just keeps going out. So
subscription as a service has made a fair number of people very wealthy.
Good
right?
call.
Because it's the idea of that prepaid legal expense that I get every month. Well, if I get rid of it, what if I need a lawyer? Right? But yet I've had it for 10 years and I could have paid for a lawyer and the amount of money that I pay per month over 10 years.
Maybe.
Anyway, yes,
So this is way more than about taxes.
It is. I will say that those agents that don't track well, I do think it's a mad scramble when it comes time for taxes, either sending their expenses to their accountant or trying to figure out taxes on their own and the deductions for business-related expenses and not tracking that in some level. And I will admit, I used to print the receipts, put the receipts in the folder, right, which is probably better than some, but hardly organized. And then I would have my 2019 folder and I'd pull out all the receipts and total them all up and send them to the accountant. And that's better than nothing. I think that I've tracked my income better than my expenses, right? I do track that every month. On an Excel spreadsheet is what I used to use, but I have this new tool that I've been playing with that I'm using that to track income as well. But there's lots of different ways to track, and I think that there's lots of different levels of tracking where some people are a mess and some people are super highly organized and have a bookkeeper and they close out their books every month and then it just goes to the accountant as needed. So those are kind of my introductory thoughts, I guess.
Awesome. Well, I think maybe we want to talk about the journey, the process, right?
Yes.
It's tracking your monthly subscriptions and actually keeping track of your meals and your gas and whether or not your corporation owns your car or you're deducting mileage.
Right.
Like that's getting into the taxation part of it, which I think most agents think, if you would just explain that to me, I'd be fine. But I personally think tracking your subscriptions, all your memberships, all your other tools is a huge part as well. And we've provided a spreadsheet for you to do that on theallegianceway.com. You're welcome to download that and edit it and make it true for you. But for me, the value in having all of my tools listed on a spreadsheet with the cost and the functionality. And what you will probably discover is that you have access to tools that are free that you're not even using. So this is the reason I bring this up, that this is outside the realm of even expenses, but tracking your tools helps you remember what you have and helps you maybe not overcommit to another thing. Charlie, I think we are all guilty of looking for, if only I had a tool that would do such and such, and we already have 3.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oftentimes our brokerage has certain things, and we may be paying for those certain things separately because we don't know that our brokerage has that, right? And how often are we using those tools, and what is the ROI on some of those tools? So I think doing this little audit, not only of lead sources that we're paying for, but also tools that we're paying for quarterly is super important. And your friend at the brokerage who lost his credit card, I've thought about just calling the credit card company and saying, I lost my card. And then, it forces you, it's like a little day of reckoning to, start over and, what's appropriate and what's not. And I have a lot of corporate expenses that go on my card, and I hope that all those are necessary, but if they all get canceled, then you have to have a conversation with different team members about, were we really using this at a high level? That's not a bad exercise.
Right. Well, another way you could do it is to get all of your credit card statements and go through line by line.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
What have I been paying for this? When was the last time I used it?
Right.
Now, I'm guilty right now. There are 2 things I promised myself I would cancel, but I have a new listing coming. I thought, wait, I'll just try it on this listing and see if I like it.
Right.
I know me well enough to know that's probably I'm just being like every other agent. I'm saying maybe I'll use it finally this time and I still won't.
Yep.
So be realistic with yourself. If it went away, what would you do? And it's amazing. It may end up to be hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month that you could save.
Right.
If you discovered that you're paying for things that you're really not using.
Absolutely. So what's next in this process?
So I think the other thing is what you were saying, Charlie, about how do you keep track as you go? You put your receipts in an envelope.
Yep.
And then how often are you reconciling? What do you think? I think you do receipts better than I do. Would it be monthly? Would it be quarterly? How often are you going to sort of get caught up with income and outgo?
So, I'll be honest. I typically didn't. Right. I would take the receipts and I would make a concerted effort to either save them if it was a receipt that was physically handed to me, or if it was one that was emailed to me, I would print it because, otherwise it gets lost in the shuffle, and then I'd throw them in the envelope and then I wouldn't look at them again.
Right.
In my particular, I am not the typical agent. I earn some money from sales. I earn some money from my coaching practice, but my expenses for that income is rather limited, right?
Sure.
It's the marketing expenses, for the listings, and that's about it. So I'm not having to do like a review of profit and loss every month because I have a pretty good idea where I am. But I would encourage, I think, monthly or at least quarterly, when you say you do want to, if you're you're a full-time agent, you have lots of expenses, you have lots of income, hopefully, doing that review or having a system that shows you, this system that I just started using, which I'm gonna show a couple examples of, it tells you whether you're profitable, right? Right at the top. One thing that I don't love is that when I contributed to my 2019 solo 401k, it shows that expense of coming out of 2020, and it's throwing off my profitability, which is like psychologically damaging, right? So it's like I've paid my taxes for 19, I've paid my estimated for 20, I contributed to my 401k for 19 and for the first half of 20, which I was, by the way, thrilled at. Normally, I do not contribute to my 401k until the following year, which is really stupid, right? You really should be doing it monthly, honestly. So I
Sure.
was really happy with myself to just do it, on, I think I did it on July 1st, which was a big win for me. But anyway, all these expenses going out, and it's just showing the income since January 1. It's like this big negative but again, some of these expenses really should be attributed to last year, but the way it categorizes. Right. So I need to get over that psychologically, because you see this negative number, right? But I know why. So anyway, as an aside, I think reviewing quarterly, monthly is ideal, quarterly is a must. And then, and if you're not going to upload the receipts or use a system, I think you've just got to be disciplined to, to print them, to put them into an envelope, something like that. Going through the credit cards, but the IRS wants a receipt if it comes down to it. A credit card statement is not going to be good enough for the IRS. So, if you're able to get those receipts and hold on to them, I know that with Remax Allegiance, they're quite picky for reimbursements. Like even for me, we need a receipt in case there's an audit, right? A credit card statement is not a receipt. So, I would warn people.
Go ahead. I
was just going to say, I think that there's some people that just rely on credit card statements alone. And I would caution you, I'm not an accountant, but check with your accountant to make sure that that's truly appropriate in case you do, there is an audit, you need to prove something. I'd be concerned if you're just relying on a credit card statement. Although I agree, it's much easier, right?
Right.
But you do need to probably keep track of those receipts.
But to your point of just grab it, print it, hang on to it. So what I've taken to doing is, if it's a physical thing, I can use the scan app on my phone, or I can, if it's emailed to me, I download it, and I am keeping them in my tax folder.
Right, online.
And it's a dated receipt subfolder, and it's in my Dropbox.
Yep, so, there you go.
Yeah. So
so you are a little more technologically advanced than I am with the like literally. I mean, on the desk behind me, I literally have a 2019 receipts, and they're in there. And yesterday, because I procrastinated, right, I was looking through those and seeing and trying to figure out what my what my estimated taxes should be and this and that. I don't rely on my accountant to do that, which also is a failure, right? I mean, somebody said to me yesterday, "Why isn't your accountant doing that?" I said, "I don't give them the information, and I probably should."
Right.
So are we using the people that we pay at an appropriate level and helping them organize us, allowing them to help us with, based on last year, this is what your quarterly payment should be this year, giving us the coupons, all of that. Instead I went online and I paid. I didn't know this till yesterday. This is another new thing for me. I used to write a check to the IRS, right? With the extension. Apparently, if you pay online, you automatically get the extension as one and the same. There's no form. That was a surprise to me. Yeah. I'm not an accountant. Don't take that as tax advice. I could be wrong, but that was my understanding yesterday as I was going through this unpleasant process myself. So,
okay, but I wish there's somebody out there that's just going crazy there, and they want to interject that. I think if you're using QuickBooks, there's a Quickbooks app that you can take a picture of the receipt and it actually puts it in. And I am in trouble because I pay for QuickBooks and I don't use that. So I need to figure that out.
So Eyerusalem, why don't you show the QuickBooks slides? I was discussing this with you, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago privately, Amy, and you mentioned Wave, WAVE, is a system that I think is free. I played around with it. I was struggling with organizing and being able to forward and take pictures of receipts on Wave. I didn't like that piece of the functionality. So
Wave is free unless you use it for invoicing, in which case you would have to update.
Okay, good. So I ended up pivoting and just was playing around with QuickBooks Self-Employed. You can get 30 days free. After that, I believe it's $10. And there's some screenshots that I took here. Know where your money is going. You can track your income and expenses, your mileage. So that's important for agents. You can turn on the app. It will track your mileage using GPS for you if that is appropriate for your situation. Keep scrolling down there, and I think we're going to see like this little transactions. You can see it's hard to see here, but there's some your business expenses and your business income, and then it lists what the transactions are, whether it's income or expenses there for you. And then you can pull reports, right? You can pull all of your expenses for the quarter or for the year. This product allows you to take a photo of a receipt. It allows you to take a screenshot and upload it to this program as well. And then it just, it sorts it for you, and you pick the category, and then you're able to do like a memo line and write, for specifics of, what it was. So, Tom Ferry traveled to LA or, whatever. So $10 a month after 30 days. I've been impressed with it so far. I think there's a bug that I reported to them. Forwarding receipts from your email, I don't think is working right now. So I want to be completely transparent there. So what I've been doing is just doing a screenshot and then uploading it that way. But I would just encourage anybody out there that's not as organized as they want to be. I found this super user-friendly. The setup does not take long. You can connect a credit card if you want to bring in your expenses. I've connected my bank account to bring in my income. I don't have my credit card that I use for my business is also used for my brokerage business. So I choose not to have that import because it would mess everything up, but everybody's different. So 30-day free trial, check it out. If you like it, spend the $10 a month. Check out Wave if you want. Sometimes I think too many choices, we get paralyzed, but I am not a techie. This is not setting up a CRM where you want to rip your hair out. Setting this up, it walks you through it. I think I was set up in under a half hour, and then I've just been, uploading my receipts. It's really, I've been very impressed with it, and I intend to continue to pay for it after my free trial's up.
Well, and I will say I pay for the more expensive version of QuickBooks, and I'm not quite sure. I need to find out what the difference is.
Yeah, QuickBooks Self-Employed, it may be new.
I think
and you might be able to downgrade. So some of you have QuickBooks, and if you're not doing invoicing, right, or whatever, you may not need it. And then QuickBooks Self-Employed, you can do invoicing as well, but that's not something, that typically that realtors need to do. Right. So if you're a QuickBooks user out there watching this, perhaps you want to, just Google QuickBooks Self-Employed, check out the features, because you might be paying for something that you don't need. Because I get the impression from their site and kind of like some of their intro offers that maybe this is a newer product.
Yeah, that very well may be. So I want to share with everyone, because Charlie, you and I talked about how very few people are doing this. And so I feel like maybe we're making it sound easier than it is.
Yeah.
Setting up a Wave account, setting up a QuickBooks account does take time. And so you need to be patient with yourself. And again, I would recommend that you lean on a professional. So I actually paid my accountant to do a Zoom call with me. Okay. And she went through and said, you know what, you really could have a rule for this. And you know what, you really could. And she was, I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying.
Right.
So now I can track my cost of sale. Per listing, there's things like that. And it was wonderful to have her walk me through it, and it was worth the extra money that I paid her for the time. Since then, I've seen ads that QuickBooks do have experts that you can pay by the hour who will do that at much less than my accountant charges.
Right.
So that's an option as well. So if you hear me and Charlie and think, great, done and done, and then 2 hours later you are ready to pull your hair out, that's not your imagination. There's a lot to learn here. If you don't have this skill already, you don't understand this already, it will take time to set it up. It will take time to understand it. You need to do it anyway.
Yep. I did the most simple setup. And again, it was simple for me because my real estate practice is very simple, right? If you're somebody selling 50 homes a year and have lots of expenses and stuff, it's going to be more complicated. And they do advertise you can hire a bookkeeper through QuickBooks. They will actually organize everything for you monthly and close out your books, which is not a bad idea for some people. And then I think what you mentioned, because it is an opportunity to set up different rules, and when this comes in, it gets categorized as that. That makes a lot of sense. And I love the idea of getting a professional to kind of walk you through and get it set up, I don't want to say the right way. I want to say in a more advanced way, right? That's going to save you time and money. Frankly, when it does come time, you can give your accountant access to this, or you can just give them the reports. But if the reports are set up and categorized the way they recommend, it's going to save you time with them and probably save you money as well.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think that's smart. We're going to run out of time. Well, we're already over, I guess. So closing thoughts on tax or extension day.
Well, I'm just going to throw out a bunch of things because I wish we'd had more time to cover a bunch of things. Charlie, you and I have mentioned Mint before, mint.com. Yes. Mint helps you just track your net worth. You sync all your accounts to it. It tells you how much you owe on your mortgage, how much you owe on your car, how much money you have in the bank, what your debt to asset position is. That's wonderful.
Right.
Tracking expenses as an agent, about 10% of the gross that you earn is appropriate to spend on marketing.
Right.
That's something that agents ask all the time. If you're making 500,000 GCI a year, about 50,000 of that could be going to marketing. You may choke on that, but look at what you're spending now. Consider repurposing some of your ad spend to client care. I think loving on our sphere of influence is a best use of marketing dollars ever. And then if you still think you can't hire an assistant, know that 10 to 15% of your gross could go to salaries, and that's a perfectly appropriate ratio. And the IRS isn't going to tell you that. That's just about running a healthy real estate business.
Good. I think those are good tips. I think we should probably do another show on a lot of this.
Okay.
Your last few tips, I had a coaching call this morning with a client, and we figured out what her sphere of influence is worth. I call it the opportunity. $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
$500,000 a year, right? So being focused on that and spending a little bit of that marketing dollars, surprising, delighting them, right? Even in a pandemic, there are special ways to be in touch with those people. So I don't want to forget that. Hopefully everybody has been paying their taxes and they're earning enough money to where today is not super stressful for them. If not, we should probably talk about budgeting and stuff like that in a future show too.